to order. Roll call.
Okay, Mayor Mike Hayes.
Here.
Councilmember Jennifer Watkins.
Yeah.
Councilmember Chris Hunt.
Here.
Councilmember Kit Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Drew Schultz.
Here.
And Councilmember Angel Ramsey.
Has everyone had a chance to review the agenda for tonight? Any additions, corrections? Entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented for May 15th, 2026. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-4-0. Consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review that? Any additions, questions, or corrections? Or anything you'd like removed for further discussion?
Nope. I'm good. On my part. Gotta give Chris a second.
I'm good.
Are you good? Okay.
Need a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the May 13th agenda. Consent agenda.
Second.
Consent.
Second. Drew, all in
Second.
favor? Anybody, we have no public comment this evening scheduled. Anyone have any comments? If you have any comments, make them now because we will not be taking comments from the audience during the council meeting. Want to have any comment they'd like to make? All right, Ms. Gooding, would you like to make your presentation on 309 Main?
Sure. And stand up, just that way we have the PowerPoint presentation ready as well. Okay, Council, this evening I wanted to give you an update on 309 Main, just so that you are clear on where everything's at. There is a lot going on with this process overall, and so wanted to keep you in the loop, educate the public on where things are, and kind of clarify the timelines going forward. So we have a couple of different processes, take myself back, slide. I am sorry, I'm shuffling my papers too fast. Okay, so at the April 22nd special meeting, City Council approved a demolition resolution for the building at 309 Main. That resolution kicks off a lengthy process in which there are legal stops, there are timelines to be honored and things like that. But that resolution came about because of a history of issues at the building over the past 2 years. The building originally was having code issues, construction had begun, and the building facade was damaged in February of 2025. And at this point, the building has been braced for more than a year. We have seen construction stall out repeatedly with promised timelines missed. And so with that in mind, as those timelines continue to be missed, we brought the demolition resolution to council, and council did approve that on April 22nd. Meanwhile, a second process is also in motion, and that is that the building owner and the contractor are seeking a community development block grant to assist with the rehabilitation of the building. If they receive that grant, it would provide funding for repairs through the blight remediation provision of that grant. It would require local funds, and the owner would be responsible for providing those local funds, a viable business plan, and quite a few other requirements as part of that grant. Because community development block grants live out their name, they are for the benefit of the community. Because of the nature and complexity of these grants, the city would need to serve as the applicant and subrecipient on behalf of the building owner. So that process is also in motion. And so what I wanted to clarify is that these processes may run parallel. And so one of the challenges over the past month has been ensuring that we are clear in communicating the steps in each process how they intersect, and where one process might terminate the other process. And so there have been misunderstandings and confusion about the path forward, which is part of where I've been trying to work with all partners involved in that process, as well as clarifying to council what's going on. And so I've issued guidance trying to keep those timelines and expectations in order. And so tonight we'll bring you up to speed on everything. So really, when it comes down to it, the city's key interest is remediating a blighted and dangerous structure that threatens downtown viability. And we have had a business owner threaten to leave the downtown area because of the ongoing situation. And so with that, I've outlined 3 potential options for the building owner and the contractor. The first one is the demolition resolution, which was passed April 22nd. We are working to secure estimates for demolition, and that could take place once the legal requirements and timelines have been fulfilled. The second option, again, is the Community Development Block Grant, and that would be through the South Central Kansas Economic Development District to restore the building and enhance downtown viability. And a third option that I've outlined that is never off the table is building restoration just through the owner's direct, without trying to do the grant or without the city pushing for it. But it would need to be per code, it would need to fulfill all local requirements, and it would need to happen before that demolition timeline runs out.
What's the demolition timeline?
Okay. And so the guidance that I issued to all parties about a week ago, May 7th, is basically the resolution has been passed by council. The clock is ticking. The city does require immediate action on the Promise Shoring project. We will not engage in assisting with the grant if that has not been completed, because that is the most immediate need. That is the one that threatens the viability. And then the further action is what we hope that the grant can help with. And so again, that must be completed ASAP. If Mr. Jones is pursuing Community Development Block Grant, then he needs to complete all of the portions within his power to complete. We've given him a deadline of May 22nd for the city to receive all of that information so that we can see that the owner has done due diligence, and then the city will complete our portions. We would bring then a grant hearing and all aspects of the grant to the June council meeting. Once the grant application is submitted, Commerce anticipates about a 30 to 45 day timeline for review of the grant. And we would know after that timeline if it's been awarded. And so if those competing timelines merge, if we feel like we've got a viable grant proposal, council may approve a temporary extension of the demolition resolution, and that would allow time for the grant process to be seen through. And I'm seeing some hands and some questions here.
What is the timeline for the resolution that was passed?
Making sure, I'm looking at Lisa because she's the one with the numbers. I believe that we would revisit the resolution at our July council meeting. At that point, once it is signed, there are 30 days during which the building owner could appeal to district court. So we would probably be looking at late summer, early fall demolition.
Those boards have been up there for 2 years, and I feel like we just keep stretching it out further and further. And I understand there's legal stuff there, I get it, but and in my feeble mind, probably cheaper to tear it down and rebuild. I mean, at this point, I don't know what you're in, but golly, I know you've been putting much money in it. And then my other question is, how much does the city put in? How much does this cost us? I mean, I don't know that answer, but that's something we need to look at.
For sure, for sure. And we should have, I guess the next thing I was going to share is on the demo bids. You're fine. I saw questions there and I wanted to answer in real time. So we reached out to JEO about getting kind of demo specs built. And the feedback they gave us was that it would probably be about $10,000 for them to develop those specs, or they could review demo bids after the fact, and it would probably be in the hundreds instead of thousands. And so with that in mind, I said, that sounds like great guidance. Thank you for being budget conscious for us. They have provided us with the names of 4 contractors used by El Dorado for similar work. And so Lisa is in the process of reaching out to those contractors. So we should have a better sense of how much would a demo cost for the city at our June meeting. And so again, kind of the meanwhile, our SCAD grant writer is working with the building owner on the grant. And she's been provided information to schedule a grant hearing, including publication dates and things to make sure that they meet the legal notice. I believe that this week we have heard that radon, lead, and asbestos testing are underway, and that is all part of the Community Development Block Grant. CDBG funds must be used in ways that result in healthier structures. They're not used to, just preserve, but also to better. And then on Friday, Roberto had reached out with construction plans for the weekend. At that point, it was Friday afternoon, the city was already out of office, but we routed that to the building inspector on Monday. I think the plan had been for some construction through the weekend, and as far as we know, that did not happen. But it's my understanding that there is communication, and so that is ongoing. And that's the latest update that I have on the 309 situation, but I am committed to keeping council updated on it. And so with that, I'd be glad to stand for any council questions.
So since the 22nd, nothing's moved forward with the building or with us as far as work, trying to fix anything, nothing. It's just still been sitting there.
Nothing that we're aware of. And I have been monitoring this very closely.
I guess my question is grant. Okay, there's a grant out there that you may or may not get, whatever. Is that even viable? I mean, is this grant gonna be enough? If you get $5,000, is that gonna change what you can do with this building? I mean, I don't know what the grant is, but I'm just saying that SCED doesn't just hand out money, right, with willy-nilly, I know. So that's why I'm asking, like, even if you do get it, is it viable? Or are we just kicking this can down the road again?
Very liable. All right. Put a lot of money and effort in this.
I know.
Make this work.
I know.
I don't wanna see any law, nothing there.
I mean, I think you'd be ahead, just, maybe I'm wrong, but tearing it down and starting over. But I guess that's up to you. I said this back in October, that I don't want to see this just keep going, and here we are in May now, and we're still going. And I understand it's not all your fault. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's our fault, but golly, at some point we got to stop saying, well, we could do this. Well, what if worms had hand grenades, right? I mean, it is what it is at that point, but at some point, let's come up with a real option and say, hey, this isn't working anymore, right? And it's not just for us, it's for you guys too.
And so as much as it is extensive in terms of the timeline, that the passing of the demo resolution on April 22nd really puts teeth to this. It creates a finite timeline. It still feels lengthy, but it says, we either need to get things in order with the grant or, as I phrased it to kind of the whole group conversation, the demo is our default option. If a better option is viable, then obviously we want the best option for the community, but the demo is the default.
For 2 years, we haven't found an option yet. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean to you guys. I'm just saying that for 2 years, we've had to drive by and look at this. And again, it's not all their fault. And I understand that. But I think, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm tired of seeing 2x4s.
Oh, and that's why we did the resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a nightmare for me.
I'm sure of it.
I mean,
I'm sure.
I've thrown good money after bad.
That's what I said. I'm sure you have. I feel like tear it down and start over.
Any other questions? At this point, this is simply an update, not a voting matter, but we anticipate voting business at next month's meeting with this.
I know we've gone over this, but if he does get that SCED grant, when did they say that we should find out, or he should find out when if and when he receives it, or if he receives that grant? I know we've said it before, I just couldn't remember.
Yeah,
Was it October?
I'm a little murky on the exact details as well, but I think really that June meeting, and I think it's June 10th that we meet again,
is kind of the key, and then there are some timelines that follow that. My guess is that we'd be looking at an application in mid to late June, with the Kansas Department of Commerce having 30 to 45 days for review, before we would know for sure if it had been awarded or not. And so we would likely, as staff, recommend continuing with each step of that demo resolution until we hear that we have grant funds awarded. And I think that the timelines will roughly work out. If not, we might do a 1-month stay just to make sure.
I mean, I don't think we need to spend more money. Did you say JEO said that they would do one, but it would cost us just for them to give us the plans to demo the thing?
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Yes. And that's
If they've
because
got
it,
4 companies in El Dorado that can do it
Mhm.
and do it the right way,
Right.
you know, up to code and all that stuff, I say we go that avenue. There's no point in paying somebody 10 grand just to give us the idea and pay them to do it.
And then what JEO had also is to review those plans on the back end, just to make sure that we are looking at things the right way. But we would again be looking at probably hundreds instead of grand. And the purpose of that is just because these structures do connect. As the city, we don't want to have the liability of a bid that looks good, but then we end up with engineering issues on adjacent buildings. So this is an expensive process, no matter how it goes.
Any other questions, council?
On this situation.
Okay,
Here to talk about the sales tax resolution.
I am.
Good.
So, council, we've been talking about this since my first meeting in January, and this is the meeting where we finally move it forward and make the decisions on what we're going to do with the sales tax. And so the background, just I always like to do this as a recap for anyone tuning in online. A 1% sales tax was approved by Towanda voters in 2016, and it will sunset at the end of February 2017. Currently, that tax generates about 170 to 180,000 per year.
2027.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes,
It was
early
back then.
2027. Thank you for correcting me. And so that is, and the tax has really been kind of a general fund usage. It covered a lot of categories, all of which are general fund. And so we're looking at a value of about 18 mils if you transfer it to property taxes. So as we've looked at not just trying to absorb that into the budget, but trying to propose a new sales tax, council has identified that law enforcement and streets and sidewalk are really probably the highest community priorities for additional funding. And so we've discussed timing. We're looking at a ballot question on August 4th with the primary election, and that way we don't have to pay for an election. And so where we are tonight is that final wording needs to be submitted by June 1st to the county clerk for it to get on the ballot. So I've kept you updated because everything is ultimately interconnected, political situations, what we're trying to do. We've been tracking 2 different tracks, looking at some generic language that would basically specify for law enforcement and streets and sidewalk, or looking at specific splits where we'd say, for example, 60% law enforcement, 40% sidewalks or streets and sidewalks. And we've kind of said, you know, either or along the way. And council is still welcome to do either or. But as my recommendation as your staff, I would encourage going with the generic language at this time. The reasons for that are largely the greater political environment we're in. Generic language provides the greatest opportunity to meet different needs. And so if we find that our streets are crumbling and we want to put a little bit more towards streets, we can. If we find that law enforcement turns out to be a little more expensive than anticipated, we can shift it with generic language. Whereas a locked-in split creates a situation where we are obligated to how the voters voted. And that's okay. The second reason I have here is that we haven't actually completed community engagement around this. And so we don't fully understand what the voter priorities are. It is still my hope to do some community survey work later this year and to get a little bit more of that. And so that allows us to tailor what we do with this tax to what we hear from the community, as well as the needs that we see. The biggest changing factor is that we did have a proposal moving through the State House that would have limited our ability to increase the mill levy. And that is a key theme in a lot of states right now as appraisals have increased. The challenge for us is that if that would have passed and then the sales tax didn't pass, we would have no option or recourse. We expect that legislation will continue to be developed and it will pass in the future, most likely. And so with that, having more flexibility between these two key general fund items would be valuable. And then again, the fourth is kind of similar. It just allows us to be responsive to cost needs. So if standing up a police department is more expensive at the beginning, but then we want to prioritize more to roads in the later in the season, that could be done under the flexible model. And again, the second option we've discussed is a specific split. That is still a viable option. And if that's the direction that council wants to go, then we will include that language and we can honor that. In some ways, that builds more trust with voters because it says, this is what we're going to do. This obligates us to it. But it loses the flexibility to meet needs within what we're allowed to spend on. And so regardless of choice, we're going to develop public transparency tools that start documenting what comes in, document it how it's spent, and be able to tie projects in progress to that sacrifice the community is willing to make if they pass it. I would like to share a little bit about the financial impact. We are looking at 3 different percentage options. The first one is a 1%, which is where we're currently at. Its current value is about 17 to 18 mils. And if the tax fails, we would have to raise property taxes. We would try to be cautious in how much, but we would have to. Council also has discussed a higher number, looking at a 1.5 or a 2% increase. And so that actually allows us to progress instead of just sustaining. And I've included the approximate values. Everything varies based on spending habits, but you can see what a higher level would actually bring in. And so our city attorney has reviewed the language in 6 different drafts. She probably got tired of reading the same thing over and over.
It's a big blur.
Yes. And so the draft in the agenda is a sample, but it does not actually reflect a recommendation. I just didn't want to put 6 drafts in. And so our recommended action is, once you all have had a chance to discuss and recommend a preferred level, then we have language that could guide a vote. And then we would sign the resolution and get it to the county clerk.
Discussion.
Yep. So we talked about 1%, and last time we did this, I said, if we do 1%, is it gonna be enough to cover, huh? Is it gonna be enough to cover for 10 years? And I was told, yeah, sure. And here we are next year doing it. So I'm not saying 2%, but I'm sure looking at 1.5%, and I'm looking at Rob's face because I expect him, he's not gonna read off of Rob's face and know if I'm talking right or not. But I didn't get it this time, so I'm good.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
I think 1%, if we do it, we're gonna have to do it again next week or 2 years or whatever, and I don't like that, right? I think 1% will carry us for, any ideas? 7 to 10 years?
Yeah.
Huh?
You say 1%?
No, 1.5.
I think you've got to go higher. I think
The only problem with that, with going 2%, is you already have your state sales tax. So now we're asking anybody who buys anything in here, hey, pay for the 3% tax because we have the one from last year. And then now, hey, pay 3% on top of whatever the state or the county has or anything like that. I mean, problem is you start throwing big numbers up there, take the chance of people who aren't as informed saying, I'm voting on 2%. Forget that. And then they go vote no. And then now we're raising their mills by 18 or 17 or 18. I mean, here's my thing. If you have,
Nope.
How is it that 1% was good for something else last year, but it's not good now? What you're saying?
1% was calculated to fulfill any bond obligations or loan obligations on the water system.
Correct. So,
That's, it's 100% for that, can go nowhere else.
correct.
Right.
So why is it that the last, I guess, yes, I know taxes have gone up, stuff is,
You know, what you've got to
Inflation's gone up.
understand is the sales tax that's expiring has never been targeted for a specific thing.
Right.
It's just been
Yeah.
dumped into the general fund. So you got to look at the fact that that general fund is potentially
Mhm.
going to have $180,000 shortfall next year that's got to be made up someplace because that sales tax money is not going in there.
Correct.
It expires. So do we
And-
specifically fund projects with a sales tax or do we raise property taxes? That's what it boils
I
down.
get that, but what I'm saying is, are you able to go back to the one slide? What, if
Absolutely.
it went to 2%, that was how much a year? 300,
350,000.
okay,
Now, remember, that's a rough estimate.
rough estimate, but even if it was 300,000, even if we were $6,000 off $300,000, that's great for the town, right? Police and
Street and sidewalks.
but if it's 60%, so you're at 100 and what, 60% of 350, I guess, about 190.
210,
190.
250.
Okay. How much do we use on police now? Like, do we need that? Do we?
250.
No.
Well, that's why she
Russell.
suggested.
About
That's how much it's budgeted is like one something, right?
I think our budget for two officers is 130.
130 is what we use right now, or is what?
250 is what we use right now.
No,
Yeah,
that's what
What's
That's
it's
what
what's
budgeted.
budgeted, but we
Right.
don't ever use that.
well, but we could, so that's why we budgeted it there. So,
But he just said it was budgeted at 130.
no, he said for two officers, that's what it is.
We
That's what-
budget
that's-
that because if Butler County was able to fulfill the terms
Right.
of the contract, that's what it would cost.
That's what I'm saying.
We're only
So-
getting one officer currently, and so we are
We spend less.
spending less than budget, but we always are obligated to that
Correct. But
budget.
he just said that we set aside budget for how much for police?
He was talking about two officers if we're in our own town, our own police department. He's talking.
I'm not worried about our own police department.
That's what he was talking about.
I get that. What are we paying right now for Butler County?
I was
What's
gonna say,
budgeted
if y'all
for
don't
Butler
mind,
County?
let me go pull that number just to make sure I'm getting.
Because
a
I'm
true
not worried.
number.
It's 250. That's what I'm telling you.
And that's why Sarah suggested general language. So if we needed to, so there wasn't an exact percent on the ballot, but we were saying it's for the police department, public safety, sidewalks, roads.
I don't think Towanda right now needs their own police department.
So are you thinking about today or are you thinking about the future?
I'm thinking
just
about the
asking.
future, and right now I feel the future for this town, the best thing is water lines, streets.
Okay, water line's already going.
No, it's
I
not.
agree.
No,
How's it on?
we didn't get any
What's
grant
that
money.
1%? That 1% that we
sitting there,
found
yeah,
last
but
year
it's-
was for water
It's
only.
$10 million to fix the water
Yeah.
lines.
No, I get it.
So that's gonna take us how long in 1%?
Probably, it's no different than 1.5%. That's what I'm saying. This is
Correct.
completely separate than the water. So you're trying to add them together and you can't. Water is completely separate from this. So all we're talking about
Correct.
here is,
But we need to have the money for the streets as well.
correct.
Correct. I don't think we need to spend a ton of money on police. I think what we have now is good.
So as I said last year, when we did a 1%, I don't want to do this again next year because that's
Well,
what
I
we're
wasn't
gonna do.
here last year.
Well,
for
I'm
that,
just
so.
telling you what we did. And so now you're sitting here arguing for a 1% when we're gonna do the same.
No, I'm fine with 1.5. I don't think we need to go 2. I think 2%'s pretty overzealous. Because we're gonna spend how much on our contract for
Sheriff,
the sheriff?
Well, for 30 years, they haven't dumped hardly any money in these streets.
Correct, that's what I'm saying.
We have
But
a whole, I'm not saying 2% is the right number. I'm not saying 1% is the right number. What I'm saying though is we need to think about 10 years.
Correct.
I'm not thinking about today.
I understand that, but is spending 200 some odd $1,000 on a police force better for our money at a 2% than it is fixing our streets and roads?
I don't think.
They
we
got
know.
13 calls last.
Exactly
They
how
got
it's
13
going
calls
to.
last month. They got 13 calls last month.
13
That they
calls were
were-
handled by the officer on
that they
duty here.
responded to.
33 were handled by the.
Okay, so 33.
46 calls.
So 26 calls all they got all month. That's not even one a day. And we're gonna go drop $200,000 for these guys to sit around. 200, how many $1,000 for these guys to sit around and maybe have a call a day?
Okay, hang on, she's got your answer.
We are on pace for about 65,000 to 70,000 currently for the officer expenses.
So Even if
prorated, that's projected through the end of the year when you say
Mhm,
on pace,
mhm.
so on pace for 65.
Correct.
Yes, we've actually had a change of officer and that increased our monthly payment about $300. So it somewhat varies with the staffing level, but
So right now, as it is right now, we're getting, the 1% is 180,000 and 70, roughly 70 of that or whatever's coming out. So it's 110 that's left over for everything. You do the 1.5, 65, you're about at, I'd say the 180. You would have the 180 left over to put in for us to use towards streets. But, and sidewalks. But getting 26 calls in a month, I don't feel justified spending $250,000
Let's back up to the 26 calls. According to the sheriff's report, 13 calls were handled by the Tawanda deputy.
Okay.
33 were handled by the district deputy.
Okay.
That's 46.
Okay, 46, I'm sorry. But they also had 11 traffic warnings, not one ticket was written. So
That's
46, so just over one a day. Still, I can't justify spending 200 and however many $1,000 a year for these guys that maybe have a call a day. When
Well,
we're
I don't
spending
think
70 some odd $1,000 a year and
We're covering Tawanda as well as our community would like either,
So here's the other.
but where's the
side.
crime?
Where's the crime? It's all over.
all over.
But here's the other side.
We're not getting called, suspicious activity. There's nobody having their cars broken into. There's nobody having their houses broken into.
There are.
Then where's the,
If people don't report it, we can't.
well, that's not my problem, that they're not.
Well, it is your problem because you're a city council member, so.
They need to report
It
it.
is.
No, it's not. If someone gets their house broken into and they don't call the police, that's not my problem. Call the police.
Here's the problem I hear from the public. Is they quit reporting anything because nothing gets done.
Yep.
Nobody shows up to take the report. You know, a
Yep.
kid's out there screwing around in the front yard, pardon my language, in the front yard, messing with a car. Takes an officer to get from wherever to here, 30, 45 minutes, kid's gone.
Or a
So they just
medical,
quit calling.
medical call that takes officer 15 minutes to get to, but we have to sit outside because we can't go in.
Or people are running up and down the street with vehicles that aren't even supposed to be on the street.
I mean, I think there's a lot more than just the money. I understand what you're saying with the money. I get it. But I think it goes deeper than just the money. And so we're thinking this number. Forget the numbers for a minute.
and
How
think this,
important
Public safety.
is the public safety of the community?
It's super important. I'm not saying it's not.
Forget about that number
What's
for a
the
minute.
budget extension?
And put that in your brain of
So
how
this was
important
last month,
is the
quarterly
safe or is the
statement.
community safety? I don't know, right? I know in my brain what it means. Without thinking about numbers, I know what it means, right, to me. What's it mean to you? I don't know. I feel like we're a pretty safe community most of the time, majority of the time. But there still is a little bit out there that we don't know what's coming, right? Our community has gotten younger over the last 5 years. So what happens, right? I don't know that answer. Somebody with a law degree can know. Okay.
and part of what we're asking tonight, and unless if you want to designate a split, then it's important to get a sense of how much that would bring. If you want to go with the more generic language, it's more, how much do you think that we would like to have to be able to advance either law enforcement or roads? We're actually conducting some additional community engagement around law enforcement Saturday and Monday, this upcoming weekend. And I think there's a lot more to do in terms of like a community survey to really get a sense of where are those priorities and what is the willingness to pay. So in some ways, we're asking for a decision before we have all the information, and that's a product of poor timing. But in the end, we want to make sure that we're allocating according to where the community feels the needs are.
I definitely prefer the generic language.
I think the generic's the wisest. The other wild card in this whole scenario right now is what's cost of asphalt gonna do?
Mhm.
What-
Well, it's not gonna
what
get
if the
cheaper.
road runs- Well, I'm just saying, we can't project what it's gonna be 3, 4, 5 years down the road.
We
We
can
can
project
try
it's
to
not gonna
plan
go down.
for it,
Right, we can definitely project it's not gonna go down for the next
Right.
3 years.
right? I'm saying
Concrete's
we
not
can try
easy.
to plan for it,
Right.
but we can't project where
I mean-
we're gonna be 5
I mean, you
years.
can say that about anything, even if we are on police can't project how much cars are gonna go for, how much somebody new coming in wants to be paid. You're never gonna be able to project for it. I just, like the 2%, adding 2%, and then we just added a third, or we just added one, which makes it 3%. It's like, the 1% was added last year. Why, I guess,
For water.
no, I'm saying like she wasn't here, I wasn't here,
Right.
Angel wasn't here, but why was this not brought up last year, and why did, when it's like, hey, we need to add the 1% to the water, so then why,
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
so why did we?
And that's why we designated it just for water.
Right.
I meant, why did we only do one? Why didn't we do two last year?
We didn't have any research. We had no research behind anything, even though we had asked.
Mhm.
There was no research behind it to give us enough information to go to, I'm sorry, I don't know your name,
Lane.
Lane, and say, hey, I want you to pay an extra 2%. I didn't have that. So we didn't vote on it. And that's exactly what we ended up at. I don't know if you were in the audience or not then, but that was not, if you don't have the research on it,
Or
you
the
can't
correct
vote on it.
information.
So that's why that didn't happen. And then we get a new mayor. That's part of a change, right? And not beating him up. I'm just saying he comes up with different ideas.
No,
So
I get that. I just think that we just voted on one, and then we sit here and possibly add 2% more. It's a lot to sit here and ask,
And it is.
The
It's
city,
a lot to ask
and
for
it
our
does-
community.
and it also doesn't look that great. It's like, hey, vote on this 1% tax, and then
But we're
how
also
many months
trying
later now? It's, well, yeah, we
To
did vote on
improve
that one,
our community.
but now we want you to vote on 2 more. It just
Well-
doesn't look. It's like if I ask you to borrow $5 and you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I come to you later and I'm like, man, can I borrow $5 more or $3 more? You're gonna be like, okay.
So who else around us has done that over the last 10
What,
or 11 years, which is why we didn't do it? You know that answer?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Do you know who around us did that almost at least 2 or 3 years to our community over the last 10 or 12 years, and so we couldn't? Because honestly, we're getting caught up over 10 or 12 to 15 years
No,
because the school kept doing it, and so the city didn't. Of course, I wasn't on here then either, but that's what was happening, and that's what kept happening. So we can't just run in and say, hey, we need 4 or 8% to catch up, right?
No, I understand. I think the 1.5% is probably the better,
I think so too. But
is the better avenue rather than adding
I don't know that
2
we're
more percent.
at that point yet, are we?
I think
that's
that's what we're.
what Sarah's asking for. is
Yeah.
What percentage do you
What
want?
is
in
your
that?
1.5 to
comfort
2% in the
level?
language.
I want the generic language and 1.5%. Do you need a motion or what?
Like that as a
Need
motion?
I'll make a motion for general.
What, can I ask you a question, please? So if we're gonna generalize it, right, but we're gonna do a survey after we generalize it, so the language is in there already. And it says whatever, roads and police force, but then we're gonna do a survey afterwards, and what if the roads and police force is not on our to-do list as a public? So now we're gonna not definitely, but potentially lose the 2%, 1%, whatever sales tax, because we have our language set in as A and B.
That's what we're doing, generalized.
But is it
We're not-
generalized, I guess what I'm saying, is it generalized
Yeah,
as far as like, that it goes straight to the general fund, being able to use how, or is it going to say police force and water? Because I was confused on what we were just talking about when Sarah presented.
Yes, I would be glad to read the proposed resolution. It's a little lengthy. But
Or does it designate
mhm.
spending for?
It does, either option that has been discussed specifically designates for law enforcement and streets and sidewalks. And so if we are wrong on that, the community will let us know at the polls. And then we will need to regroup, we will need to do community engagement, we will need to find more information.
We'd have to increase our mills.
Exactly.
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
instead of having something that's just saying we're gonna spend this in the general fund, right? And then allowing us to allocate how we see fit. Now, is that a police force? Is that
Mhm.
Well, I don't
sidewalk?
think one person can argue about our streets and sidewalks. Now, police maybe, but, streets and sidewalks, I mean, I think that is definitely behind water, number 2 on the list.
A
And it has
priority.
been for
Right.
quite a while.
I agree.
Now,
And
police
I mean,
force,
I think there needs to be discussion on that too, because we're letting semis drive up and down this town, up and down these roads, and it's been taxpayer dollars, dude. That's,
I'm sorry,
I used to be on the council. It's hard for me to sit here and
Yeah,
say
and
something.
I would say as a recap, why are we here today? I don't know why this wasn't brought up by your prior administrator. Other places where I've worked sales taxes, they're looking at sunset about 3 years before it arrives. When I arrived in my first week, I learned that we had a sunset a year later. And so we were in a hurry up and figure out what we want to do. We conducted a workshop, I believe, the first week of February with council to have council discuss through some facilitation what they understood priorities to be. And there was a lot of unanimous discussion really around the idea of law enforcement and streets and sidewalks. There are many other things that are fun to do with sales tax, but at the moment, those fun things aren't really surfacing when we have the conditions we have. And so we have been in conversation every council meeting in that time, narrowing to the point that we are tonight. Now, in an ideal world, if I had come in with 2 or 3 years from sunset, we would have first launched a community survey. We would have launched community engagement. We would have really tried to get a sense from the voters of what are they willing to sacrifice to fund? Because sales tax, property tax, they're both sacrifices. I previously worked for a firm that did research of that nature and was remarkably successful at identifying community priorities and helping communities craft sales taxes. So we're kind of flying blind without community feedback. Really, the question is council in touch
Right.
with constituents at a level that they understand constituent needs, and is the threshold decided on the threshold that is stomachable to advance these priorities? And again, we won't know until we get to the ballot box.
We had a community event where everybody was talking about the streets for sure, and the cops did get brought up as well. So, I mean, it is something that we.
I think what we're
Talked about.
asking for tonight, number one, there's gonna be a shortfall if we don't do something,
Mhm.
okay? Number two, what we're asking for is at what level the council feels, what level does the council feel is acceptable to the general public, the people that voted for them, to propose a sales tax?
For what it's being spent for.
What,
Yes.
And for what it's being spent for.
and for what it's being.
If you're allocating this sales
Mhm.
tax to something.
And so the proposed ballot language, the generic version, is shall the city of Towanda, Kansas, be authorized upon expiration of the existing one, and I use 1% in this sample, we can fill in whatever percent, but upon expiration of the existing 1% citywide retailer sales tax authorized in 2016 to impose a new 1% citywide retailer sales tax, the proceeds of which shall be used only for the following purposes, including the payment of financing costs related thereto. And so that allows us to bond roads or anything like that. And then, so 1 is provide law enforcement services, including personnel, equipment, and related costs to the Towanda community. And 2, provide funding for streets and sidewalk maintenance and improvement. The collection of the sales tax shall commence on March 1st, 2027, or as soon thereafter as permitted by law, and shall terminate 10 years after its commencement, all pursuant to the provisions of KSA 12-187 at SEC as amended. So this specifically limits us to only spend sales tax revenues on streets and sidewalks and law enforcement.
The council, as Councilman Schultz has discussed, decides that law enforcement is not the top priority and 70% of the money needs to go to streets, then it can go either way. If,
Right, but it's one of two things.
What if you
What
think,
if,
that's
what if
it,
the, what if the water project's $12 million and we don't want
doesn't
to
make any
$2 million
difference, doesn't make any
We don't
difference.
want to take $2 million extra out. Now we have, X amount we can, I'm just saying, I feel like they get handcuffed here as
Well, we know
the
that,
public because either we have to now pass that sales tax or
well,
potentially
what we know
get our
is
mills raised.
for 12 to 15 years, they just put, willy-nilly language in there, they just went where the hell they wanted, or heck they wanted it to.
Okay.
No
So-
priority.
I think
That got us to the point where we are.
we're getting outside the scope of what the city administrators ask us to consider and present. Right, and talk about. I think at the beginning of the meeting, I indicated there wouldn't be questions and discussion taken from the public tonight.
Right. I was not aware this was gonna be.
And we're kind of we're getting things that ought to be brought up at the time of the election interspersed with things that when we're supposed to be making a decision on the amount and the purpose of the sales tax.
One quick thing before we go to voting on it.
Yes,
April was the first month that we had both the new sales tax and the old sales tax together, right? Do we have any,
March.
was it March or April? April first, so do we have any numbers on that on,
We do not yet. There's a
Okay.
little bit of a lag between the state collecting it and the state dispersing it.
okay,
I did, however, print off, and I'm gonna send these forward. This is a sample of the past 3 years and collections to date on the existing 1%. So what we should see once the water sales tax is on is a doubling of those rates.
okay.
And so this is actually our top 7 revenue sources. The highlights in yellow are the sales tax. And as you can see, that's our second largest revenue source right now.
that's just what you sent me.
Mhm.
That you sent me, okay.
Oh, it down.
It's been going down every year.
Yeah, there is a slight decrease, and I'm guessing that is just the greater economy and people are hurting. And so that is a factor as you consider levels.
We're down this year too.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think a sales tax is a much more fair way for a quote bedroom community to distribute tax rather than property tax because we're getting participation from folks that use our roads that go to school, that use our water system at the high. We're getting I think a use tax is much more equitable in a town like ours than a property tax many times.
In this language, when it says percentage of such tax to be applied to pay the cost to provide law enforcement services to Tawanda community, including personnel, vehicles, equipment, is that could be either Tawanda having their own police youth force or using
Yes.
sheriff still, okay.
We tried to
So either
specify,
or.
So what?
That's how I was reading it too.
That's how I figured it was, I just wanted to double check,
Yes.
so.
we tried to specify for public trust so that we are locked into using it for law enforcement, but leave it open-ended enough that we can use it for whatever law enforcement services we have.
Now, I guess, Mike, so this is 60% of whatever the amount that was,
This is the second, this is the split, I'm gonna do that instead of the generic,
oh, okay.
yeah. So that you're looking at 2. right?
Yeah, I don't like the split.
I like the generic.
Right, and that's what we talked about using the generic.
Yeah.
That gives us a little bit of play to put it between the two, but not enough to take it away from something like that has been done in the
Yeah.
past.
Because I am all for, I don't want anybody out there thinking that I'm not for police and security of the town. I am.
Right,
But I'm also not for how's he saying it's been done in the past where it's just like pass the tax, the money comes in and we just kind of use it willy-nilly.
Mhm.
We need to be open and transparent on how this money is being.
Right.
I agree.
So I think,
Absolutely.
That's been
Yeah.
a complaint for a long time.
exactly.
All right, I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
Make a motion to use the generic language at 1.5%.
Second.
Okay.
Motion
Using-
made and seconded, all in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Is it okay if we officially use the text on the screen for the motion?
That's your problem.
Okay. We will include that in the legal record. Thank you, counsel.
I don't know, I was looking for Rob, so he didn't say, he said, I was.
All right, let's move on to new business.
Okay, excellent.
Safe streets
And
for
thank
all.
you. That moves us forward into a new place with that particular project. And so Safe Streets for All, this is a project that Andy initiated, seeking a federal grant for some design that promotes better street safety around the community. And so Andy had issued a request for proposals right before exiting office, right before I arrived. Actually, I guess let me back up just a little bit. So we were awarded a federal grant for Safe Streets for All, which is a federal program, in the amount of 140,000. We do have an obligation for a 20% local match to that grant, and so our local obligation is 35,000. Again, it does assist in planning for safe streets, and that looks at not just vehicle operation, but also bicycles, pedestrians, people who use a variety of different transportation systems. And so the total price tag will, Rob's counting.
35,000, 20% of 140,
Let me make sure.
28,000.
Add the
14,000
35,000,
100%, right?
add the 35,000 to the 140 and then take 20% of that.
Oh, okay.
Gotta get a calculator out.
Yes.
20% of the
So,
total.
of the 170.
total.
Got it.
So the 140 is 80%. Thank you. It's always good to have the numbers clear. So he keeps us in line. Or tries.
Dumb math.
Yes. And so the total project will look in development of a comprehensive transportation safety action plan, which is a lot of ways to say, looking at how do we assist people who are vulnerable to get around Towanda safely. Areas that we may focus on include things like Sixth Street, school zones, the railroad crossings, and areas where you might have different types of transportation in the same space. The design phase, which is what we're talking about tonight, focuses on developing specs for low cost and high impact safety enhancements. And so then those ideally would be grant ready, where we could continue to apply for grants for future construction. And so, okay, here is the history. So the request for proposals was issued in December. Submissions were received March 31st, and 2 proposals were received. And we were very impressed with both proposals. There was a review committee of Rylan, myself, and Kit representing the council that reviewed both proposals and found both to be very thoughtful and thorough. Both proposed very strong project staff teams. And so as we reviewed, we said, oh, I don't know, this is hard. So we conducted interviews with both firms. And then ultimately, we were obligated to score on past performance on similar projects. So that means similar to Safe Streets for All, so transportation safety, qualifications and capacity of personnel, and then the project understanding, issues, and approach. And so in the end, again, we had 2 very highly qualified firms, but our committee, all 3 members did unanimously recommend awarding the project contract to JEO Consulting Group. And some of the aspects that stood out in that were very thoughtful and intentional recommendations for community engagement. They were able to name particular populations, strategies that they've used to get feedback. They were able to speak to the technical engineering aspects, which is important, but they also were translating in the interview to bring it into lay speak, which is important in terms of our understanding of the project. They had a clear recognition of transportation challenges and concerns here. Knowledge, I believe their staff member was one of the, I'm gonna try to remember, actually one of the leaders in developing some of the safety systems. And I'm looking at Sasha, she's here to speak to this where I fell short. But, you know, expert staff members, awareness of potential future grant sources. They were able to just list off several grants that this could go on to be eligible for. And then their proposed project approach was very impressive. And so next steps after tonight would include a meeting to finalize the scope and the timeline. And that is expected to be about 12 months. And so I would manage this project on behalf of the city. As a former project manager, I adhere to timelines and I drive hard bargains. And then Sasha Hain is here from JEO, and she is the project manager on behalf of JEO. And so I'd like to let her speak to just a few additional details and to JEO's experience and what they're proposing for Towanda.
Your Honor, governing body members, thank you so much for giving JEO just a few minutes on your agenda. I know you guys have a lot of business to cover tonight, so I won't keep you long. It's good to see. I think most of you I've already met at one city project event or another, so thank you again. for the opportunity to continue to partner with the city of Towanda. As Sarah mentioned, our project team is very well versed, not only in SS4A projects, we've been doing multiples here in Kansas and many more in Nebraska, but Stephen Buckley, who is our technical lead, was the former highways safety traffic engineer for the state of Kansas.
Thank you.
So
That's what I was trying to get
he,
to.
and was involved in AASHTO, which is a highway safety organization, and was involved in the research to help develop the safe systems approach, which is what Safe Streets for All was built on. So we are very fortunate to have such a knowledgeable expert on our team. And I'll just give you a little snippet about myself. So, although I do come from our Topeka office, I spent 35 years here in Butler County. I am the former city administrator for the city of Andover, and I worked for Andover for almost 10 years. I did move to Topeka 10 years ago for personal reasons, and I worked for the city of Topeka up there for about 7.5. So I have almost 2 decades of experience in local government administration, and I was very fortunate to have the experience to work not only in a small place like Andover, but then in a large organization like Topeka. So I learned a lot in those 2 decades, but I do believe that background brings a unique experience to the project management for these projects, and especially in a small place where it's often hard to engage residents. People are very busy, and the communication channels may not be as robust as they are sometimes in a larger community like Wichita. So, we're very excited about the opportunity to partner with the city of Towanda on this project. We do believe that there are many opportunities for safety improvements. As Sarah mentioned, it'll focus on the safety of the network. So don't think so much about asphalt as you think about separated pedestrian and bicycle routes that keep walkers and bikers away from car traffic, where it's safer for them to travel the transportation network in Towanda. Railroad crossings, very dangerous at grade for pedestrians, bicyclists, and people that drive cars. So all of those things that you guys are all well aware of, I won't waste your time rehashing what you already know. We'll be taking a close look at all of that and figuring out from a holistic system perspective what enhancements would make it a safer experience for all your traveling public in Towanda. So with that, I'm going to be quiet. I'd be delighted to answer any questions you have.
Well, I do. Railroad, we've already been told by your company that it's not possible out here without months and months and months and months and months of problems.
To
Put a sidewalk next to the railroad to go across it.
Sure, not suggesting that
And,
an at-grade solution would be,
Well, that's our biggest problem. I mean, the majority of the kids, young kids, live out there down 6th Street.
yes, sir.
If you get them past this railroad, and your guy, he sat there in that chair there a few months ago and told us, yeah, we're probably not gonna make that one happen. And now you're here
Mhm.
to talk about safer streets, and
Sure,
it's not you, but JO I have a bad taste in my mouth for JO, just to be honest.
okay.
So again, how are you gonna get past this railroad and things of that nature, or is that not part of your thing?
So, although I am not technically an engineer, I think the important part of what I was saying about the railroad as a safety concern, I said just a few sentences before that when I said, don't think so much about asphalt and the built
Mhm.
environment. Think more about a system of safety that could include education campaigns, policy changes, or improvements. It's not strictly the built environment that this type of a planning process looks at. So I am not an engineer, sir.
No.
Yeah, so I can't answer you in a very specific, detailed, technical way, but what I do know from being involved in these projects is that you cannot think of it in a street or sidewalk box.
Okay.
Or you will miss so many opportunities that can bring major safety improvements to your community.
Well, I mean, on saying that, we teach kids how to stop, drop, and roll at the fire department for free. So I guess that's where I'm getting at is, without thinking inside this box, and I agree with you, you have to think of the whole thing, right? And outside the box as well. But again, we still have a railroad to cross.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, we can teach them all day long. We still have a railroad to cross though. So that's something, again, I'm not saying it to you. Don't want you to think that. But like I said, the engineer did come in here and flat told me, yeah, we're probably not gonna be able to make that one happen. So as far as,
Because of the requirement.
right, as far as I'm concerned with JEO
Sure.
or even Garver, that's something that we'll be asked about if you go back and talk to them.
And I apologize if you thought I was suggesting
No.
that we could create some kind of a safer built crossing.
No, I
At the-
used
at
the
the
wrong
railroad,
word.
because-
Sorry. I used the wrong words, but if you use just the railroad in all aspects, we've been told by JEO. So that's kind of why I have a little bad taste in my mouth with them. And, but I guess we'll see how it goes. We've already selected it, right?
So council,
No,
this,
not yet.
this is a recommendation
Here.
from your review committee.
It's a recommendation.
So this is not final. That final decision lives with the council. But in a request for proposal process, basically there is an evaluation, there is a scoring that is often conducted by a subcommittee, and then that recommendation rolls forward. And so with a proposal, you can choose to take a different proposal. But the review committee was unanimous in recommending this forward.
So in this the same thing they came in and talked to us about last year, or maybe the very first part of this year, about driving around and telling us what the concrete rated or
is-
something.
Actually, a different project.
Is that
And
different?
But I'm glad you bring that up because that project is still potentially out there. But I am gonna recommend that we push that project off for at least a year.
Okay.
And I'll get to my next slide as far as why.
I'm always one slide ahead of her.
I know, you are a good predictor of my slides. So financially, the scope will be built, and so Sasha and myself, and we would form a project management team within City Hall that likely would include one council member. We'll finalize the scope for the project. What that does is it allows Tawanda to say, these are our needs, make the money work. And so the scope will not exceed 175,000. So the reason that I'd like to kick that other project down the road is that this project is done as a reimbursement grant. And so we need to retain the funds in our streets fund to prepay expenses. We are looking at some street work and we hope to have bids to you next month for some work on 6th Street and Kelly Hill that would preserve both of those streets. And so we are trying to make sure we have enough budget within the streets fund to prepay and then seek reimbursement of these expenses. And so we can submit for reimbursement for costs up to about monthly. So my goal is to hold about 50,000 in that fund. So I have been in contact with JEO with Brad, who had kind of brought that to us at my request to say, I don't think this is the moment to do that project. Now, ideally, once we've done the Safe Streets for All planning grant, and once we feel comfortable with where our funds stand and what next steps look like, we could do the street maintenance planning as well and kind of build those on top of each other, then look at what grants are available to apply and how the two different projects could merge.
So what do you need from us tonight then?
So tonight, what I'm looking for is, let me get to my motion. I go off my scripts. Okay. My recommended motion would be to award the Safe Streets for All contract to JEO consulting firm and specify in the amount not to exceed 175,000. And then also, if you all would authorize me to negotiate the final project scope and sign the contract, obviously Rob will have a review in terms of that final contract. What that does, ultimately, council selects the firm and awards the contract. I can negotiate the scope and we can keep this project moving that way.
Okay. I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to award the Safe Streets for All contract to JEO consulting firm in amount not to exceed 175,000 and authorize the city administrator to negotiate the final project scope and sign the contract.
Second,
Jinx.
Jenny, take your pick. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0. Next item on the agenda is code enforcement.
We are all about the contracts tonight, and thank you very much, Sasha, for being here.
Thank you so much.
Hey, so code enforcement, as we've talked about concerns in Towanda, code enforcement is one of our key concerns that comes up over and over. Since 2024, Pierce Code Compliance has provided the code enforcement services for Towanda. This is designed to provide a focused approach for code enforcement, and then it allows staff to focus on other priorities and other city needs within the organization. We have reviewed and updated the contract fairly thoroughly this spring as we were looking toward renewal. Some key aspects include providing stronger definitions and clarity. As I reviewed, there was a lot of generic language, and so we were looking for specifics in that contract. We would like to see better data in terms of case tracking than what we had been receiving. This data could include things like cases opened and cases closed each month, cases sent through court, so that we can really see the progression instead of just getting a list. We'll continue to get the list of the open cases, but then have that month by month progression so we can see the movement. And then we're also looking at how to better our communication systems, because we realize that key information isn't always making it from one side of the city organization to the other side of the code enforcement contractor. And so we want to make sure that we are seamless so that we can get things done in the code enforcement world. Okay. So our contract renewal process allowed us to talk more in depth about code enforcement action as well. And so I'd actually like to, with council's approval, invite Kendall Pierce to discuss some options regarding how code enforcement can be handled for some of the cases that have been kind of sticky and hanging on.
Yeah, so, we actually have sent, 5 cases to court on Tuesday. Those were the 5 probably, I would say, toughest ones are the ones lingering around that haven't seen many results. So we are in the process of getting those a little bit more, getting those to court more frequently. So that's definitely one way we're.
Are you sure that number's not higher? Honestly, I thought the number was 8. I was just there yesterday. It's been a long.
It was
28, 30 hours since I was there. Okay.
It's 5. Yeah.
Plus 3. Got it.
Yes, that's-
Plus
So-
or minus 3, give or take. 4
Uh,
of the 5 appeared.
They did?
yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's where the
And
numbers.
the one that did not appear, had everything cleaned up, so.
Okay. Gotcha.
we, Addressed that already, so. So as far as the information that is being shared, city council definitely can come in and the city hall and review our software that we use. It keeps all documents, keeps all pictures, keeps all timelines. We had discussed about getting a report that's a little more detailed. And that shouldn't be too much of an issue. So.
Anymore. We did not. I don't know if this is a question for. Maybe nobody. The code compliance officer shall perform the duties. Is that you or is that?
So, council, I actually wanted to clarify, we do have new packet language. I am new, I make mistakes. I found out that when I said code compliance officer, we actually do need to specify that it is the nuisance code enforcement services. Lisa retains the title of code compliance officer, and so that was my mistake.
I thought we were just switching over. I was
It's
just
the
asking.
only time we do this for, so it's.
Yeah, I was just
It's
curious. I didn't know.
one that we've branded since 2024 that way.
Right. I knew we had. I thought
Oh,
maybe
what do you mean this is the only time you do what for?
the
Have
code.
the dual. Usually I report directly to the city and most, I think in this contract, it states that I report potentially to Lisa unless.
Right.
Language.
For now, you report to the city administrator. Ideally, this contract would be managed by the code compliance officer.
I think you've addressed a number of, or at least some of the issues. One was accountability. I think accurate, complete, detailed reports are going to be important. I'd like to throw one thing out that we might consider adding in there, and I'm not sure we need to vote on it, but it'd be nice to know dispositions on court cases at some point.
What's that?
Dispositions on
Oh,
final disposition
okay.
of the activity. Did they mow it? Did they remedy it? Did they go to court? Did they pay a fine? What did they do?
Right.
Uh,
You would like those on the report, is what you're saying?
I think, would those be more accurately placed in the court report?
They could be.
Mhm.
They could be.
I mean, because if I'm disposing of stuff without code enforcement even being present, that's where it's gonna show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have no issue with talking to fellow staff as well as court clerk as far as getting those, getting those. I mean, for instance,
Mhm.
the 5, apparently 4 that showed that I thought obviously was 8 because I'm not bright. I've got docket notes on
Right.
all those stuff.
Sure.
So
I don't need that.
at the end, for sure, there'll be a disposition of some sort.
One of the problems, and I've noticed it's been cut down substantially in the last couple of reports, is you got things that have been hanging on, and there's no end. There's no disposition on what happened to it. It'd be kind of nice to know
Like
that they're gone, they were settled.
like
they
High
were sold.
123 Street mowed and cleaned up their yard, so we're
I
closing.
thought he
it
did
down.
that.
Yeah.
Well, you did that
We,
now.
I mean, we drop them from the report is what we do,
Oh.
or it says closed from previous.
Right, yeah,
It'll
that's what I
say closed
thought.
from previous.
Yeah.
Excuse me, yes.
I thought it did, yeah.
However, he's asking for something going to court, having a
No,
little
he-
more.
he's also asking if, not just court, if it comes off the report, why it's coming off the report.
And within our
Thought it did.
Exhibit A in the contract, we do request number and list of cases closed and case details, including type of resolution. So it's a little bit open-ended, but that's ultimately what we're looking for is what happened? How did we close this thing out?
Well, you raise a good point. Those are two different things. When Mike says disposition,
Mhm.
I apologize. I think court.
Correct.
So if we're talking about a court disposition, I think the court
Court
is where
report
it's
is
more
where it goes,
appropriately
but
placed.
it would
If
just,
it's a prior to court
More like a synopsis.
conclusion,
yeah.
yes, I think that's the report. The code enforcement report is probably where it needs to be. As opposed to, and what I'm hearing you say is, as opposed to just having 123 North Main Street that was on the report for 6 months, just no longer be on the report. It's no longer on the report due to XYZ. Is what I'm
And
hearing.
that, after the month orders report, that it's taken off to include it.
Like if it was on there,
This is a public, this is a published part of the packet. People look at it and say, oh, last month there was 14 things on there. What happened to them? They just waved them goodbye, just, the month it closes out, market closed, the next month they'll even show it on. Closed by whatever reason.
keep in mind for court disposition reports, as of right now, we're only in court every other month.
Yeah.
So I don't want any heat about monthly updates.
You call each one of those people individually and try to work something out with them. Okay.
I'll give you a 555 number to call me on.
Yeah. 555-1212.
Give me Mike's number.
No.
No, I mean, living here, since Pierce Code Compliance has been taking over this, I think it was tough to start up and, do everything. I think this was your first or second town, but I feel that Pierce Code Compliance has been doing a great job from what I've seen. Huh? I
First
couldn't
time.
remember if we were first or second. I know that he got a lot of towns back to back to back, but I think it's any town. There's always gonna be stuff that needs to be cleaned up, no matter where you go. It's never gonna be 100%. But from what I've seen living here since he's been doing the past few years, I think he's doing a stand-up job. So that's just one guy's opinion.
Do you have anything that's slowing you down on these? Besides Rob, anything else that's slowing you down on it? I didn't look to see if I
City
was okay to
attorney?
say it.
Code enforcement's a slow process.
Yeah.
Like there's just no ifs, buts about it. So I would say other than the initial steps that we have to go through, no.
Okay.
I think that just the timeline in general is where, we want to make sure we're
legal.
you know, yeah.
No, I get it.
When Rob gets it, it's not, oh, we have to dismiss this because we didn't have this ready, or, you
Yeah,
know, it wasn't served, or whatever the case is, so.
I guess what I'm asking is anybody sitting up here saying they'll come to my house besides me?
No.
Joking. I'm joking. But no, on a real note, I was just curious if we were slowing you down at all.
Nope, no,
Okay.
we're, moving right along. Like I said, now I feel like we've started to hit a groove on some of these bigger issues, and perfect time because now it's mowing season, and you're gonna see the report fill back up as soon as it disappears, and again, that's just the nature of the beast.
Yep. I just wanted to know what it was in case mine was on
Other
there.
details of the contract, we are looking at $1,100 per month, which equals out to $13,200 per year. The contract is renewed annually, and so we will plan to talk about this each year around the same time as our officer appointments come up. One other change in the contract, there was a small allowance for postage fees within the monthly fee, and we said we would rather be able to know when it requires going to a certified letter. And so they can bill us for any regular or certified mailing costs. We do request that they use other methods first, but if it gets to that, they'll bill the city. And that gives us some additional communication about what's going on and where are we with the cases.
So you want us, before we send our certified mail, is that what we?
You would just invoice us at the end of each month.
Okay, I thought you wanted us to ask if we can send our certified mail.
Right.
Actually.
No,
Right? No?
you would invoice us at the end of
Okay,
each month for
gotcha.
certified.
So we're offering to pay for the certificate.
Yes.
Yes.
But then we would want to receive the documentation of those certified. And that allows Lisa to be able to put everything together that she needs to do on her end as well. So
Okay. Return address to be here. Is that what you're asking? I'm sorry, I'm confused on this part because I must have missed.
I
this
would
conversation.
say, let's work out, as long as council is comfortable with the contract, let's work out the details administratively.
Okay, that's perfect.
I don't think we care.
I don't think anything really logistically is changing on your end.
Okay.
Instead of the first $20 of PCC covering, it's just PCC's covering the first $0,
Right.
and the city's paying for it and getting those bills for reimbursements right off the bat, as opposed to potentially what's changing from the city standpoint is that if you only incur $10 of certified letter fees, then the city doesn't even get that, thus doesn't know that the certified letters are sent, whereas now there's transparency starting from square zero going forward.
Mhm.
Is that fair?
Yes. So, and we can work out the details and logistics, but the idea was that then, yes, we would have a window into what's being sent and what's moving, and it's one more place where we're on the same page. So council is welcome to ask additional questions, and I do have a recommended motion up on the screen when you are ready.
I can't see the recommendation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's on the
No.
paper.
Shh. Trying to get him to do it. I can't see him.
You want me to do it?
I can only turn it so far, but hopefully that's a little better.
Does
And
anybody
it's
have
also
any-
in your agenda packet.
Do you have any questions? No. Do you guys have any questions? No.
Nobody has any further questions? Motion, please.
I recommend to approve the motion for renewing the contract for code enforcement services with Pierce Code Compliance as presented.
Second.
All in favor? 4-0. Move along to the more. Thank you, Kendall. Let's move along to the more.
Council, you get a little break from me for a moment. You get Rylan on this one.
Yay.
You got all dressed up for it.
He wears that every week or every month. Every month.
Same one.
Goes home and changes his jeans.
And, good evening, city council. So, tonight I have come to propose, the purchase of a new mower. Our 2006 Ferris mower is aging rapidly. This year it has spent more time being worked on than actually being used. And today we're having issues with it again. We had a bunch of broken belts, due to a failing clutch. So I have put together 4 proposals, for new mowers. Ranging anywhere from 12.7 to 15.8. And so we are asking that, you approve the 2026, it's the one for 1454.
24 was still, D.
Yes, it should be the first one in your
Yeah.
packet.
Yeah, it's a SCAG, Tiger Academy.
What makes it easier to work on?
So instead of getting underneath the mower to change all the, belts for the hydrostat, it's all on the back panel.
Okay.
It pops open.
Do you know anything about this stag? I mean, they're a pretty well known brand.
We have one.
You do? Is that the new one we bought 2 or 3, 4 years ago? It's still running pretty well?
Yeah, so really the only difference between this one and the Cheetah, that we bought is it runs a little slower. So it's not gonna tear itself up as fast. So the one we have now will run 20 mile an hour.
You said there's a 5-year warranty on that one. Do we lose the warranty if we do our own in-house, maintenance on it?
That is a good question, but I don't believe so. And they've been pretty good with our warranty. We had actually on that SCAG we bought, somebody ran into a tree and knocked the air filter off, like one of the hose clamps. That sucked in a bunch of dirt, and Kohler actually replaced that motor for free, even though we were doing some of the maintenance ourselves on it.
Okay.
Ready for a motion?
Questions?
Yes.
I am.
I'll make a motion.
Yep.
Make a motion to approve the purchase of a mower and extended warranty for a total of $14,054.24.
Second,
Second.
Jenny, all in favor? 4-0.
Wondered if we had to split it up for a moment there.
I thought Mike was saying second. I was
I
like,
thought he did.
he did go second, but
I thought he was saying second.
he was asking for one, but it's not like
Well,
you.
I'm starting to get sick. My voice is going, you know who I'm sitting next to.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hacking, coughing around.
Petri dish.
So council, I want to kick off. The next 3 items are all ordinance updates. Each one responds to emerging needs or requests that are coming through City Hall for different things in the community. I will say government as a whole is largely reactive. Seldom are we ahead of things. Often we recognize the need for policies or efforts when something changes in the community. And so each of these ordinances is designed to either guide or support opportunities in the community. Each ordinance provides the legal authority and guidance for what should happen, legal authority and process, and then it gives clear guidance in terms of what is the process for doing whatever the activity is successfully. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to Lisa to present the next ordinances.
For once, I'm going to use the podium only because I'm both my attorney. The first ordinance you have in front of you is the community building weekday rental. From time to time, folks ask, can I rent it for a few hours? Can I rent it for part of a day? If we really do not have any regulations, guidelines such for that. And this would only be allowed during the weekday so that we did not interfere with our full day rentals on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. It would allow us to rent the building a little more during the weekdays and establish some fees so that we would have those in place for folks that do want to rent it. So you have that ordinance in front of you. And we're asking that you approve it so that we can set this in place. Okay.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Maybe. Half a day is 10 a.m. to 4.
Yeah.
What you're considering?
6 hours.
It was kind of hard to break it down like into hours, so I thought, the coffee drinkers, of course, are in there until 9 something.
We should charge them.
Pardon me?
We should charge them.
They actually make a considerable
I'm joking.
donation to the city every month or so.
I
They
promise
do.
I'm joking.
They
I
actually,
believe you.
I can't remember what the last one was.
That was
They about that. 1,200, I think, 1,200. They make it, they collect for coffee in the morning and then they put it together and then they donate to the museum or they donate to the city for the community building. So they're kind of doing that.
I promise I'm joking.
You were being funny.
Being facetious.
So I tried to break it apart so that the folks didn't have to work with the coffee drinkers. And then they could have either an evening event or a morning event.
What do we do for the weekend for a full day?
Pardon me?
What's the price for a full day on a weekend?
on a weekend.
150,
For residents,
100.
200 for non-residents.
100?
100 for residents.
100 for residents. Yeah. So that's why I broke it apart, like it half, just.
Well, are we gonna, with this, it doesn't say anything, maybe it does, I missed it, but will we give somebody, maybe, this says 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Will we allow them to go in at maybe like 8:30 and kind of set something up that they need?
I would tell them the coffee drinkers are in there.
Okay,
I mean, if they did, the penalty for going in early is generally the day before. Sometimes people rent it Saturday and then they'll crash Friday and they'll have it all set up and all this stuff. And it's like, wait a minute, you didn't pay for Friday. You
Right.
Pay for Friday and Saturday if you need a boat. But
Okay.
As far as going in an hour early or something, we just tell them you'll have to deal with the coffee drinkers.
yeah.
You know, and
It's kind
say
of
if
dependent
somebody
on,
had an afternoon rental and nobody has it in the morning, let's say, you know, you can't go in for the whole day, but you can go in an hour or two early and set up.
okay, perfect.
We'll work with them.
You're paying them?
Sorry.
Bye.
They just run away.
We still have a quorum, so.
Yeah, you're good.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the,
What's the ordinance number?
yeah, what's,
We are needing to review those and establish those.
so can I
So
just
if
say,
council is willing to approve as they're written, we will fill the ordinance numbers in.
So, okay, do we know what number we're on or no? Is that what we're?
Well, let me see if I can find it.
can I just say an ordinance establishing fees and regulations for half day
Yeah, I think you have
as
to have a
written,
number.
or you have to have the number? Okay.
I think you have to have a number.
Okay.
Would we
Lisa
be
usually
looking
does.
at ordinance number 732?
There we go.
I'm
No,
gonna need to run to my office and check.
I knew Lisa would know it.
Can I just say approve ordinance 732 is written, if that's in fact the?
Yeah.
Okay,
As presented,
as presented.
presented's better.
I'll wait, I'll
Probably.
double check, wait on her to double check it.
So how's everything in court, Barrister?
I'm 99% sure Lisa's right, but I was gonna leave yourself an out.
I was in court in El Dorado, then Andover, then here today.
Yeah, that suppression motion with one of the attorneys I do some work for over there last time.
Who did? Me?
Houston Bales had a,
I know Houston Bells.
he's criminal.
Ah,
He's an interesting fellow.
we ended up pleading out a little bit. Houston
Oh.
Bells. He is an interesting fellow.
Right
Yes.
there, no early Bishop building.
Right, yeah.
I missed
You
it.
asked,
More
and I was like,
interesting client.
I think it's right there. But I wouldn't say
I
it.
totally missed that till doing now. And I was skimming. I was like,
You get your liner in?
I don't know. I haven't been home in like 2 days.
Well, I know he didn't get in yesterday. He called me this afternoon. Was asking about some vermiculite stuff, so.
What?
Vermiculite,
Oh.
he had some holes.
Don't forget the microphones are on, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know if I think he got it hung.
Good.
That's what I heard.
Yes, I believe 732 is correct. Thank you.
okay. I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance 732 as presented.
Second. Second by Ken, all in favor? Well, moving right along on this meeting. Special event ordinance.
Time to time, the city's asked to close the street, whether it be for a wedding or an event downtown. We've done it in the past, just close the streets and we really do not have any guidance, as far as closing the street for events, rules, regulations. We have never in the past had an indemnification statement from the individuals asking to close the street, them taking the responsibility if something was to happen. There's just a lot of open questions about closing the street. So I did some background work and came up with an ordinance that's pretty much in line with what our neighboring cities and other cities across Kansas use. To govern these, I had Rob, of course, we had him review it. If you have any questions about that, asking that you approve this once you
I do have one question about it, Lisa.
Should be.
We're asking for
Should be.
certificate of liability insurance,
Yes.
in the amount of $1 million per occurrence, and $50,000 of property damage. Is that pretty much standard in these
Standard.
agreements?
Mhm.
Okay.
I want to say it's kind of standard in every walk of life, it seems like, no matter what.
Well,
Mhm.
that was my question.
That's right.
What?
Okay, I do have one more.
There's a,
Rob, should that say as named insured or additional named insured?
Additional named insured. Actually, I caught to something too. I think we got an extra bullet. Maybe not. Oh, no, never mind. For some reason, under exclusions, I thought bullet point 2 and 3 kind of were the continuation together, but I guess they could be separated. I just assumed USD 375 would be the parade. I'm not sure. You know what you were trying to? So you know what you were trying to convey there?
Yeah.
I mean, I can read it both ways now. I just as when I'm reading USD 375 events consisting only of a parade.
Oh, it's to be separated, like if school having events, of course, that's on the school. Or a parade does not
So
require.
it's correct. It's correct. That's right. I'm sorry.
Yes. a
I
parade
was
does
just
not
reading it
require.
in and I was like, I think I can read that.
Yes.
Anybody have any discussion?
Parade stuff.
Okay, if
Do we have-
if-
we have a question. Do we have a current fee right now?
No. Do we have what?
Do we currently have a fee?
No.
This is brand new. Some of this is in light of a proposed event, the Rushing Water
Right.
Car Show, trying to make sure that we have our ducks in a row to support and guide their process as they move forward with that event planning.
I don't love the permit fee, but I mean,
I mean, how many do we have?
there's, I mean, it's really,
Christmas.
yeah, but that's part of the government. The government agency, so it's excluded. For free, it's just in. I mean, I agree with that we need this. I don't agree with the permit fee.
No, agree with the parade.
That's just me.
discussion on the permit fee.
They're doing things within our community for our community.
They're bringing money to us, they're bringing notoriety, they're bringing people.
Which in turn can bring more money to jumpstart and.
Huh?
With a 1.5 sales tax that we hope gets passed, you know? But yeah, no, I agree. I'm not a fan of that. I think if someone takes the time to get something going and they're gonna bring people to our town, there's no sense in the town being like,
Let
well,
me
thank
play
you
the
for doing
devil's
it.
advocate here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even without a fee, and I'm not advocating either way, even without a fee, do we still want to require that they come in and they're gonna have to have some kind of a permit,
So
whether we give it to them or they pay for
that
it.
was my next slide that you got ahead of me on, was, we already do a permit, correct? They're supposed to?
No.
Currently, they're
No.
supposed,
We
no.
No, there's
Okay.
nothing.
Okay.
Say,
No, there's nothing.
And they're-
I think a permit is fine.
Mhm.
I just don't like the permit fee. What do you do?
Sorry.
no, I think if we're going to hang our hats on the insurance clauses and other things, we have to know that they have those coverages, so we're gonna have to they're gonna have to get a permit, whether we give it to them or not.
I agree with the permit. I have no problem with that. I don't understand the.
Let me suggest something, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I think I like the $25 permit fee only because you're talking about only 7 days notice prior to the event, which doesn't seem like a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
However, I think that if you've got some entities and organizations that have their planning together and enough forbearance, sorry, I could be making up words
I know where
here,
you're going.
that they could present to you guys to waive the $25 fee
Yeah.
to get their permit.
If
So
you do-
they're at least 2 or 3 weeks in advance.
if you do it
And
before the
so
7 day grace.
you guys have that opportunity to waive that $25, but if somebody's coming in under the wire, I think you want to get $25 as well as the insurance and everything else, to be honest with you.
I understand what you're saying there, yeah. If they come in, I don't know, whether it's 7 days or 21 days, whatever, and they get their permit, it's whatever, get their insurance, you're good. If you're after that, then let's give them a fee. That I can go with.
Council, may I present the administrative case for the fee is that any sort of paperwork process takes some staff time.
Yep.
And
True.
so that fee is going to be roughly about an hour of staff time. Obviously, you can waive that, and that's okay. I would actually say that queuing something up for council takes far more staff time. So.
Oh. That's code for Rob. Stop talking.
No, I like that, Rob. But that's kind of the administrative analysis of where the fees land. Again, my hope would be a $25 fee would not be a huge cost barrier. I hear where council is coming from in terms of all the benefit that comes with it, but that is the case for a lot of fees is to roughly offset the staff time that's involved in processing.
I still don't like it, but I understand what you're
Mhm.
saying. It's only, here's my problem with it. It's only gonna affect, realistically, with the exclusions that are in here, it's only gonna affect one group. And I'm sticking to my guns. I say a permit is necessary if they come in before 21 days. Then we give it to them. If it's after 21 days, it's $50. How about
Wait, go back.
No.
I think he's defining before and after differently than what you might be defining.
Okay,
that? Before the 21 days.
yeah, and
Or after.
21 days before the event.
Right, yeah, thank you.
They come in 21 days before the event, we'll waive the fee.
Yep.
If they wait till 7 days before and say, hey, I want it closed
If
next
it's-
Saturday,
Yeah,
there's a fee.
it's $50 fee. That covers down.
So between 7 and 21, it stays at 25.
Yep,
$50
yep.
if it's 7 days or less.
You just add 4 lines to this thing.
I know.
And I'm the one that's causing staff time.
I was saying, what I was actually saying was, if they come prior to 21 days out, whatever that
So 22 or higher.
is free. Okay.
Okay.
21 days prior to event or less, it's a $50.
Okay.
21 or less,
Yeah.
okay.
That'll at least get them up there where they get
Shows they're serious.
makes them want to do it, and if they don't want to, then they can pay us a little money.
And so there's an incentive to not putting a crunch
Yeah.
on staff.
And it'll pay for 2 of them if they do.
But it also makes an incentive for someone not to just come in together at the last minute and be like, hey, let's do this. Yeah, that sounded good last weekend when we were drinking.
And we need barricades, and we need this, and we need that
Right.
done, and all this done by tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Correct, yeah. I can get on board with that.
Sure.
But that's not just a Facebook thing. They have to come in, apply for the permit.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a process.
It's just
I
not
like
a
it.
phone call. It's just not a phone call saying, hey, we're gonna do this.
Yep.
It's
I like
bring-
that.
Bring your proof of insurance, bring
33.
everything you need.
Yeah.
And get your permit issued. Okay. Need a motion?
Okay.
Oh,
Go ahead.
on.
I think you can probably, if this is the direction you wanted to go, the top bullet point of page 2 under requirements
Yeah.
is really all you're probably needing, and first glance is probably all you're needing to change. And it's
Mhm.
just, the special permit application shall be completed and presented to the city clerk's office at least 21 days prior to the event, or, excuse me, and if 21 days or more prior to the event, then there is no fee. If less than 21 days prior to the event, there's a fee of $50.
Right.
Something along those lines is what you're saying.
Yep.
I don't know that you need to change any other portion of it.
I believe we said that we need on the 5th bullet point there, naming City of Towanda as additional
yeah.
named insured.
Yep.
And then at the bottom, we would need to change the permit fee to also reflect what we do at the top. I'm trying to make these edits in real time here.
With those changes, as just announced, is that your motion?
Yes. Yep. So I'll make a motion with the changes of the fee in the 21 days, and then the named additionally. City of Towanda, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, additional name insurance, yeah.
Pass ordinance number 733.
Second.
Motion on the floor, seconded, all in favor? Carried 4-0. Next event of the evening.
Council members, before Lisa starts, I'd like to call to your attention. We had a couple questions on the original packet wording we sent out, and so you are looking at an updated version of this. And so anyone who received a fresh packet tonight, it's updated. If you brought your packet, it's in the supplementals.
This one? I didn't have one. She made this up for me. So we're good. We're good.
After the word vendors, it should have the word including or colon, just so that it lists the type of vendor.
Where you at, Lisa? I'm sorry. Where you
I
at?
haven't out of this one yet.
On the food vendor
There's gonna be
ordinance.
some changes from the last
Yeah.
one. That's what I'm trying to find.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah, you have the corrected one.
okay.
I had left that out, which made it sound like it was not too much.
Well, I have a version in mind.
yes, you got a
I
few
think
versions,
See,
barbecuers
and we'll outline what those changes are.
back here.
is she talking to us today?
Okay. Okay, currently we do not have a permit or licensing requirement for food vendors, and there are several regulations that would impact that. So, I prepared an ordinance, again, looking at our neighboring cities, and cities across Kansas, putting together, an ordinance that would best fit us. What I see, you have any questions about it? We could go over any parts of it.
Council, for the updates, I believe Lisa mentioned originally there was some lack of clarity in the title as to whether this included private barbecue smoking. And we've clarified the title to include that. We have also added under regulations a number 14 that says city, local government entities, and nonprofit groups shall be required to submit an application for exemption of these regulations to be approved by the city administrator.
I apologize, I forgot to put two.
And so the idea of that is we talked about, well, what about the fire department when they do a barbecue fundraiser? Technically, they would be subject to everything, but that permit or that waiver could be submitted, and then I could approve it administratively so that we would designate anybody who is truly a local established non-for-profit, so that they would not be subject to the entire ordinance.
Not a sales tax number. So that's the problem. Fire department doesn't have a sales tax number. Because we don't resell.
They don't?
The nonprofit asks for donations.
Oh,
Right.
what?
Nonprofit.
I have a sales tax number.
Well, could you have non-profit or non-profit?
That's not what it says in here. It
Yeah,
says,
no, I'm
Oh,
thinking,
I'm sorry.
I'm thinking out loud.
Sorry.
no, you're good.
And so the item 4 or regulation 14 actually allows those established groups to be exempt from the regulations.
As long as we,
Now, the sales tax is actually a state issue, not a city issue.
right,
We are required to uphold anything like that, but ultimately that would be between the fire department and the state.
yeah, it just says there's an application and, which is fine. Should we have an application to be exempt from this then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Right. Is it here?
Hope you pass the fire and safety inspection.
Well, we talked on it, but we aren't doing that.
Why do you think you're not gonna be defined as a local government entity?
We would
No, but this is saying you have to submit an application.
for exemption.
It says city, local government entities and nonprofit groups shall be required to submit an application for exemption of these
So
regulations.
then we would sit under that, but it's asking about the application, that's all.
Yeah, he
Oh, okay.
Yes.
like actually having one, we didn't, there's no, doesn't show what an application would look like or anything like that. That's what you want.
Oh, You
Nope.
wanna know what the paperwork's gonna be in advance?
Yeah, is there anything?
No,
Nothing crazy? All right,
I'm not
cool.
telling you that in advance.
I do have one.
Top secret until you apply.
That's a Jacob Storm.
Just keep asking questions at these meetings, we'll see what your application looks like.
We got a rubber stamp. Pink.
Right? And then driver's license of all employees
Don't say
operating
all
unit.
Just don't step my name on. Discussion.
I'm still going.
I didn't hear your question, I'm sorry.
Driver's license number of all employees operating unit. Is there a reason that's important?
For mobile, what we're actually doing is licensing food trucks and such. If it's typical for other cities to ask for this information.
Just curious. I mean, cause they get somebody that comes up and works for a day.
They're driving a food truck, they probably have to have a license, prove they have a license to drive that food truck.
This says
Because we,
driver's license of all employees operating unit.
because we also do background checks on the mobile food vendors, any mobile peddler or anyone that comes into our city. We do background checks on them, so these are included also.
Okay.
For a background check, and we would need driver's license for that.
Does the fire department have a formal food truck that I'm not aware of?
No, I'm asking for the people who are here.
Oh, okay, I'm like. I was like,
No, I'm asking for the other people that are coming. That's all.
Okay.
Not for us. No, we're good on us.
I think I missed that
So
You were in- you were
ultimately,
in
council,
great
the
bed.
goal of this ordinance is to ensure that anybody doing business in Towanda is fully compliant with all local and state regulations, including health and safety aspects such as being inspected if they're selling food, so that we are ensuring that we're not allowing food to be sold in Towanda that is not subject to the health department. And also ensuring that we're compliant with the state in terms of sales tax collection. And so this is really a checklist for somebody who would like to offer these services in Towanda, so that they know what they need to do to be able to operate legally.
I'm just thinking we have a guy that wants to here with us
Yes.
tonight. Should we talk to him and?
That would be up to the mayor.
Right.
Well, we had made the opening statement, we wouldn't have discussions from the audience, but I don't see anything wrong if you want to ask that individual a question.
Well, I think this directly affects him. And if he's able to do business here, which is kind of why he moved here. Is that correct? Why don't you step up to the podium, buddy?
Council has questions or somebody.
Javion. So, looking at this checklist, I mean, you're the only one here that's wanting to. Is that something you'd be able to come down and get filled out and take care of?
I think it is, but when I came and asked before this, brought this permit up, I was told by you that, I can just set up, and then I was told I need a sales tax, and she asked me today, and I've done this in Wichita as a nonprofit, and the city of Wichita and the state, county don't require me to have a sales tax, because I'm not an employee, because I work at Gambino's here in town, so I have a full-time job, and I just get donations for it. So I've never had any paperwork as a nonprofit that I need to fill out besides registering with the state.
Okay, so he falls under 14 then. He would come in and submit the application for exemption for nonprofit.
Well, the rub comes in the sales tax.
I don't sell anything.
I understand what you're saying, but I also understand, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but I believe the state statute indicates that if you have a sign that said suggested donation or minimum a certain amount, that you're actually selling that versus from a sales tax purpose.
I would agree.
Do you have a 501c3?
I'm not 501c3 because we give out barbecue. If you do food, they don't do it. We applied to the state for our sales tax. They told us we did not need one. They rejected my application.
I'm just telling you statutorily, and the city attorney agreed.
But I think if you just have donations on there,
When you advertise and you say there's a minimum,
yeah. That's not a
you're
donation
selling.
bill.
Okay, there's a difference between saying this is the minimum I want and this is a donation only. You give me $5 if you want to. Okay, that's where the conflict comes.
But you take,
Whether or not you need a sales tax number or need to collect sales tax.
but you take that risk of somebody coming up to you and being like, hey, can I get some food? And them having no money and not giving
Yeah,
you
they
anything.
still give it to them.
And if you don't have minimum there, which you can't legally have, you can't say,
Yeah,
no, I'm not giving you
but that's
anything.
the
Yeah.
And it's a matter of it's
Can
what
we get some background as to what we're talking about?
Yeah.
He wants to start a bar.
I apologize. I just thought he was in here watching.
I can provide,
Yeah,
you guys are welcome to.
You
as
know,
council
you probably
first.
know better than us. He's been in touch with you, so.
And so I don't have exact timelines right off. But I believe it was in April that you first announced on Facebook that you were moving to Towanda. You requested help moving your barbecue unit to Towanda, and our council member graciously assisted with that. You came into the city and you talked about potential spaces to set up. And we advised that there were some processes in place to do so, but that we would be excited for what you're providing in town. And we would like to be able to work with you. We also referred to, you probably should look at a sales tax ID, and you should look at what health licensing through either the Department of Ag and the local health department would be required as a food vendor.
That's what I was doing until I met him.
Mhm.
And he told me that I could just set up at my house.
And so that weekend, we saw on social media that you intended to set up with a recommended donation minimum in the community. You and I spoke extensively that Sunday morning about the parameters for setup. And I said, you sent me your nonprofit incorporation. You did not send me the other paperwork that I needed. And so in that conversation, we determined that you would be able to give the food away that day.
That's what we were doing.
However, I actually have somebody who saw cash being exchanged
Yes.
that day.
Because they wanted to give a donation. I didn't make
Mhm.
somebody give a donation. And somebody here called the police and they even said I did nothing wrong and they gave me $60 as a suggested donation.
And so our understanding as the city
Yes.
was that despite the guidance that had been given, you were choosing to operate outside of the legal parameters.
I'm just taking the donation once
Mhm.
the city. I mean, the police in the state has told me that it's legal to do. I can take a donation because I was giving it away for free. And the guys asked me, could I give something? I said, you didn't have to. And he said, I'm not gonna wait till you take it. So I just took it.
Mhm. And so as the city, the reason that we have brought this ordinance is to provide greater clarity. Lisa has done some pretty extensive research on different types of food units, the types of kitchens that are required for the health and safety, the difference between cottage industry products and products that would be served hot food, to try to create a framework so that we can help businesses understand what they need to do to operate legally in Towanda.
Okay.
You look puzzled.
Well, guys, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't like pre-research. I mean, I was just looking at this ordinance as for form. Like, I didn't realize we were talking about a bag. So I don't have any, like, anything. I don't have any knowledge prepared. How about that? This is a unique enough issue. This is not anything that I've like come across other than in generals. That it's typically a good idea to make sure that you want to have all food vendors in your community, whether they be brick and mortar or tires and axles, be subject to if health department inspections, et cetera.
Okay.
From a general standpoint.
Right. Let me try to wrap my hands around this thing. The only bone of contention here appears to be number one. Are you a nonprofit?
Yes, sir.
No, I'm saying, just let me talk, okay? Thank you. Appears to be, is he a nonprofit? And number two, is he required to have a sales tax? Correct?
Yep.
Okay. He's got his nonprofit paperwork
Mhm.
that you have seen.
Mhm.
I think the only thing that the ordinance itself really is clean and clear. The only thing is does he follow? Does he fall under an entity that needs to collect sales tax by the fact he recommends a minimum donation? It really has nothing to do with whether or not we pass this ordinance. Rob could look into
Isn't
it.
that a state thing?
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Is that not a state issue? I mean, I'm not trying to be quarrelsome here.
Well, it is, but
We're
we're
trying to ask how we govern.
well, because we've got a clause in here that says they have to have a sales tax number on their application. And in the application process, it says Kansas sales tax number. Down the bottom, where it says application.
But if he's established that he's nonprofit, he falls under the
As
application for exemption.
he does, if he's not asking for a minimum donation. If he's asking for a minimum donation by statute, it falls into the taxable category.
Which I hear what you're saying, but to me, that still sounds, I think, apologies. It sounds to me like we're kind of going in a circle. And by that, I mean, if the application has to have a Kansas sales tax number, and if and I were to put not applicable,
That's
because
fine.
I'm a nonprofit,
That's fine.
and I think that survives the application process for the city of Towanda.
And don't put up a sign that says minimum.
And, you know,
I won't do that. I won't do that.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
and I think that if there were questions with regard to the validity or the continuation or the continued validity, shutting down, the continued validity of nonprofit, that all would also be with the state, and thus, whether it's us, whether it's the next door neighbor, whether it's the hairdresser across the street, whatever, for those reporting requirements that I'm not sure necessarily deal directly with us. Does that make sense?
No, I
I
agree.
hear what you're saying. Hey, you might not put suggested minimum donation, but to me, that's between him and the sales tax people.
Right.
Right.
Rob,
Wow.
what are your thoughts also in terms of the food safety aspect?
Can you be more specific?
In terms of being licensed by the state for the ability to sell food.
That's not one of the number 12.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I'm have any possible way to answer that right now, just because I haven't looked into that. I mean, selling food and obviously doing barbecues for the Little League football team are two different things.
Yeah.
And so, and frankly, doing top-notch barbecues for possible donations might be somewhere in the middle. And I don't know where that falls with that. So I'd have to look at that.
And a question is, I had excluded residential areas, and would I need to strike that also because he operates in a mobile home, one of the mobile home parks?
Wow, you guys are just like a law school question you've turned this into. So
Would
this
it
is
be-
this is a food vendor operating in a mobile
Outside of
vehicle in a mobile home park.
I use my smoker, just a smoker.
Would it be advantageous to table it for?
Yeah, completely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wrote table on mine like 20 minutes ago.
But I just don't know what you want to do between now and when it's taken up.
If there's no further discussion at this point, I'll entertain a motion with the idea that the city attorney is going to do some further research. Get back to us.
Yeah.
Yay, Rob.
2027.
But between now and then, though, is he still not allowed? Is it still
I think
allowed?
it's allowed. Because right now we don't have anything. I mean, it's no different from me pulling my barbecue grill out and saying, hey, come get it.
We have no food vendor,
Right.
nothing in the code now for.
He's
No,
got it now.
nothing.
Right.
We have no food vendor, just a peddler or,
I don't.
Remind me, does peddler language, that involves door to door stuff, right?
And more so than as opposed to some residents.
I don't know between now and whenever we were to bring this up again, I don't know that the city would have any ability to enforce anything because there's nothing there to enforce.
Right. I don't.
If that's between the health department and the state, that's a separate critter.
Right.
But as far as we're concerned,
I'll
I'll
make
bring
go
a
ahead.
motion to table the food vendor ordinance.
Second.
All in favor? 4-0.
There's too much in there that I
Watch it at your.
didn't knock out.
you know, you're done. Where?
Okay. And we're back to me. We're going to have a few edits and updates in this next one. This is a master fee resolution, and as you know, we've been working through some of these this evening, and so we will try to make sure that the final approved document is updated according to conversations tonight. Okay, and I'm gonna skip forward a little bit. Okay, so as you know, the city charges fees for a variety of different services. We also have fine schedules. And so one of the challenges in many communities is that these kind of all live independently in different codes and ordinances and things like that. And so Lisa has taken on the heavy lift of bringing them all together into one document. The idea of this document is that it is truly a schedule of fees and fines. They're all together, and it makes it easier to kind of see where we're at, look at comps and what other communities do. I do want to, kind of like some other documents we've proposed, to say this is a first iteration. It brings together some existing fees and some new fees. And again, we want to make sure that the final document is clean based on tonight's conversations. I also wanted to note, again, we have a packet update with this one. We had some concepts in process and some amended fees that have changed since we first published on Friday. So packets or supplementals should all be correct until this meeting began. Okay. And so background, we've had some amended fees. One of the ones that we were looking at that we will strike for the moment and bring next month is the food vendor licensing. We were looking at a $100 annual fee that would apply to somebody who can set up as many times as they want, so that once that permit was granted, it would be throughout the year. Also, I'm not sure how we ended up with a 25 and a 50, but the special event permit, or maybe I was just ahead of things.
You knew what we were
$50, and then we will waive that if that permit comes 21 days or more in advance. We've also got half-day, weekday rentals of the community building. We also are proposing adding an open records fee of 25 per hour, inspection fee per researcher. Again, that is a very real and reasonable fee that if we get an open records, that's going to touch our cost for staff time to respond to that.
Isn't there a minimum of $50? Did I make that up in my head? I swear I just read that not very long ago that there was.
Not that I'm aware of.
Maybe
It
there's
is
not.
really government to government. The key is that it's reasonable, and so we always like to say, you know, reasonable. It's going to be in line with the actual hourly wage for a lot of our
Gotcha.
staff.
Good.
Another one. This is one that has changed since the first packet, and so I want to call attention to it. Our current pool fee model has been a $2 daily admission, or either a single or family season pass.
Mhm.
What's been called to my attention is that the family pass can have up to 10 people on it. And so as we are putting quite a bit of money into our pool, we're like, you know, family is a fluid definition for a lot of people. And so you can end up with a lot of people who are not household members, which kind of defies the intention. So what I'd like to propose this year and see how it goes would be to retain the daily admission charge, because to change that we need to do signage and quite a few other things. But then to look at a $25 season pass per child and then discount the adult pass, because we know many parents go to the pool because they go with their children. And so if you have a child pass sold, the adult pass would be $15. Otherwise, it'd be $25 for the adult pass. The goal in that is to really keep the pool a very affordable entertainment option for the summer. You know, you're looking at a household with 2 children, you'd be looking at about $80. A household with, 4 children, you're looking at $130. That is still the cheapest entertainment around. But to try to start bringing that level up, to recognize that the pool has real cost for the city, and charging fees that help to bring some revenue in is helpful. And those are the major changes. Everything else just brings together what we've already had. And so obviously organizing everything in a single document makes it easier to access information and have correct information. But the other thing with fees, as we've talked through sales tax and property tax tonight, fees are another revenue source. And fees are one way that we can put the actual cost of a service on the actual user, where most other things in government spread that cost either across property owners or sales taxpayers. And so as I look ahead toward probably some really challenging budget environments, being able to look at our fees is actually a way to say, are we in line? Do these actually cover the service that we're selling as a city? And we may need to look, if we end up in a flat tax environment in the future, at realistic and reasonable fees as a way that we keep the city operational in the future. And so in some ways, this is kind of preparatory for the environment we think is coming.
You're gonna have another change this September, October,
Mhm.
right here, the over 5,000 gallon above in ground. You're gonna have, like it says over here, must be fenced, you'll have to have a fence and a cover.
Okay, is that coming
Can't just give
legally?
them to another guy. that puts
Okay.
them up.
Where at? Which page?
Been fighting that for a few years and
No permit needed. So what's changing?
you're gonna have to have a fence and a cover per state law.
If it's above ground?
No, in ground, or, yeah, the 5,000 gallon above or in ground, you have to have a fence and a cover.
And so then, this is a place also where, council can make recommendations on what we need to be looking at. I can tell you, as I look at it, the first line is advertising. The Towanda Herald takes me about 2 days of staff time, and we charge $10 a month for an ad.
Can we
And
get
so,
anybody subscribing to that?
it is a free giveaway, mostly published online, but we print copies as well. We hear a lot of good feedback.
Yeah.
But when we're looking at the advertising versus cost to produce, there are a lot of places where we may come back in future seasons and make different recommendations.
Yeah.
Dog tags would be another, where, we want to keep it very affordable. But there's actually a material cost where we currently offer dog tags for free. And so we're not digging into that tonight, but these are places where we can look at revenue streams.
Yeah.
And so with council's okay, how I'd like to handle some of the changes from tonight is if council is willing to approve this with amendments based on this meeting, then staff will go through with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that we've got it correct.
Yeah. Full motion? It was about them.
Again, I'd like to thank Lisa for the heavy lift of bringing it all together.
Good job. We don't need to, we can go ahead. and do it.
Sure, hear from Alicia on the library board.
I did not. She doesn't have a final answer. I did hear from her, but she doesn't have a final answer. So you may need to do
Here you
that.
Oh, we gotta do something. Somebody's terms
You
expired.
too?
Expired.
Oh.
So instead, I have some space here. Can I make this an announcement?
About.
Mhm.
That's something that passes.
Right.
You have something to say there. That's all I.
Okay, need a motion?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed resolution as edited in the meeting to adopt the master fee and fine schedule.
Second.
Chris, did you second?
Yep.
All in favor?
4-0.
Thank you, council. We are in the home stretch.
Executive session.
Thanks for hanging in.
Now we don't have to.
Yes.
No executive session tonight that's planned. Okay. So one of the annual items that comes up each May,
You can't talk about that. Or I would recommend that.
so per code, every May, council makes appointments of officers. And so officers and other designations. And so one of the things that we wanted to bring to you tonight is a recommendation of current 2026 appointments. Mayor and I were just noting we are missing one that is still pending. But with that exception, the current slate of appointments reflects current staff and designations in roles ranging from the city clerk, deputy city clerk, treasurer, planning, zoning, code enforcement, city attorney, municipal judge, nuisance code compliance officer, law enforcement officer, fire service, city newspaper, and city depository. And so this is the current slate presented to council for reappointment for the coming year. And so with council's approval, we would recommend appointing the 2026 City of Towanda officers and designations as presented.
Discussion?
Y'all make a
Motion.
motion to appoint the 2026 City of Towanda officers and designations as
All in
presented.
favor?
Second.
4,
Golly.
4.
I've got the
How
second.
about let's second it?
I haven't got the second yet.
Oh, I thought you,
He
It
did.
doesn't matter. It was seconded, all in favor. I don't care. if I
all in
do it.
favor? Everybody vote. It's been a long meeting.
Yes,
Been a long day.
last item.
Long day listening
Yeah,
to
but we
judges.
discuss it.
Okay.
I thought we had to.
Similarly, city code, because we're a mayor, council, administrator form of government, provides that the mayor appoints the officers with council consent and also currently requires that duties and salaries of officers be fixed by resolution. And so with the appointment of the officers, we realized the last time that council has actually passed this resolution was December of 2023. We're a little bit outdated and we want to make sure that the wages that we are paying are legally authorized. And so the proposed wage resolution lists all current employees and their wages. I want to note from our special meeting, this also now includes the $1 per hour increase for our 2 public works employees who received their CDLs. And so within this, the increase would be intended to be backdated until the date those were earned. And so with all that, this formalizes wages for 2026.
Make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
2026 City of Towanda employee wages.
2026, will that be 33 or 34? 33.
It'd be 30.
This was a resolution.
Oh, it's a resolution, not, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
What is that one?
not quite to 33.
What?
I will be honest, council,
Please
one
don't
of
know.
one of my technical struggles here is I don't know where things should be filed. And so the resolutions and ordinances are living in a file in my office waiting for guidance. So with apologies, I'm gonna pull on staff to get those filed so that we can get correct numbers.
Lisa.
We don't
got
have a
it.
resolution number for this one.
I don't know, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
What you used earlier was 04. That would make this 05.
Okay.
All right.
So, Chris, you made the motion there,
I did.
and that was to approve resolution 2026-05.
Right. 2026-05. Already closed my book. You want to reread it?
No,
To appoint the, resolution 2026-05, to appoint the, nope, wrong one, hold on.
Okay.
To approve, resolution setting the 2026 City of Towanda employee wages.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Don't close your books yet.
I hit the last page.
Well, that's tough because Ms. Gooding has requested to add something in
Oh, okay.
other business.
Oh, I'm sorry. These are just announcements.
Okay, perfect.
So nothing that council has to act on, but I wanted to take a moment and just share some public announcements for council and as well as anyone tuning in. First, we did one public engagement session around public safety issues, including storm shelters and police services. And we had limited public attendance. We had great council attendance. But with limited public attendance, we want more feedback. And so we are going to run that again here in the council room Saturday morning while people are out and about for garage sales.
Oh, yeah.
And then again, kind of over the lunchtime on Monday.
Yeah.
And so we hope that we'll get some more feedback that can help guide decision-making in both of those areas.
Sweet.
Second, I
What
wanted
time?
to,
I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
What time's I gonna start?
Probably about,
Let
what did you
me,
decide, 8:30?
let me pull the Towanda Herald.
There
I
it is.
believe we're looking at 9 to noon on that, on Saturday. Yes, 9 to noon, 9 to noon on Saturday and 11 to 1 on Monday.
Sweet. Thank
And
you.
council room both times.
Get some biscuits and gravy, come on over.
Yes, that's their hope. Second, some exciting news. We had told council we were looking at applying for funding for a water intern, and the city of Towanda was granted up to $4,800 on a reimbursement basis, so that a intern can learn the ropes along with our public works team in terms of water and wastewater this summer. So we'll be posting that job application soon. And so Ryland has the chance to help mentor up the next generation in water and wastewater.
Good.
Third announcement, if you've seen the Towanda Herald, you've seen that we featured our partners, the Rec Commission, on the front page. They are opening a new fitness center here in Towanda. That's so exciting in terms of driving activity and engagement downtown. They do have an open house from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Tuesday, May 19th. And then the facility opens on June 1st to the public. Rates are going to be very reasonable. The idea is keep it accessible. And so we're excited for that.
I think it's 24/7 and.
Yes.
It's like $30 a month for a family or something.
Yeah.
And like 20.
35, 30,
Mm.
35,
Yeah.
45.
Like
It's
25
20 for individual,
Super affordable.
35 for family.
Yeah, that's.
When is
I
that?
Also,
May 19th, when?
It is 5:30 to 8 p.m.
the rec sponsoring the summer co-ed softball league.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mm. And then my final announcement of the evening is that we have been in conversations between the work going on at the pool and talking with Charlie about opening the pool for the summer. With the work going on, we're getting ready to fill the pool just as soon as we make sure the paint is cured. We're trying to build in some time to troubleshoot the new filters and just make sure everything's working correctly. So we are looking at a pool opening on or around June 1st.
Nice.
It's just a little bit later than typical to make sure that we don't crunch everything too much. And so, yeah, a lot of exciting things to share tonight.
That's exciting.
It is.
All right. Anybody else have anything?
She's stuck.
Should I get in on good?
Rob,
No, sir.
there's nothing, no other business. I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
There you go.
Okay.
All in favor?
We gotta go home and tell our kids June 1st pool opens up.
No.
Never seen so many
You want your bike
people
back?
excited about a pool being.
It's only $5.
I can't
Oh, go. I'm not saying I'm excited.
You are welcome
I'm
to
saying
keep
that nobody's
anything or to have us dispose of anything.
Sign me up.
Now that we have rain.
I'm gonna run out if I get there.
They used to keep some and not others.
Well, we leave them here, but so I haven't read my notes on
Find the
them.
thing bring the change over here. I've got all the ones that percent electronic. I just don't have a few of those.
I'll tell you, I'm trying to save triplicates. I'm trying to save my records in our.
I'll talk to you about
I'm trying to keep them in our Dropbox records, our network, and then I'm also wanting to get better at putting things online so that we have a reserved copy of the website in the paper.
I think Jake, it's yours, they already have their finger on the.
I can't believe the sheriff's office.
Got it. And it's Chris's fault. Sound like. Maybe he'll.